Before Dawn by Omar Cuellar. Christopher was a motorcycle enthusiast, yet when he opened his eyes that gray, cold morning, he couldn't understand how he had slept the entire previous night with his motorcycle helmet on his head. It was a black helmet that shone as if it were a star. He always kept it immaculate. Not only had he woken up wearing the helmet, but his girlfriend was beside him again, hugging him. I have to talk to her, he thought. Lately, his girlfriend had become extremely emotionally dependent on him. She kept demanding more and more time together, to the point where he sometimes no longer had time to see his parents, hang out with friends, or enjoy his hobbies. The motorcycle was the only pastime he had left, the one activity where he could be alone, since his girlfriend was terrified of riding on it. I woke up feeling like going for a ride, he whispered in her ear, hoping she would understand the hint without him having to wake her. Good morning, she replied, breaking into a huge smile. Why are you so happy? Normally you get upset when I wake you up, Christopher said, raising his voice this time. Because I'm going to come with you, she answered. Now or never, Christopher thought. How can I make her realize she's becoming far too dependent on me? How can I make her see that this has turned unhealthy? What are you thinking about? She asked. How are you going to come with me if you're scared of getting on the bike? Today I feel like a new person, she said. Christopher fell silent, thoughtful. He didn't know how to steer the conversation, so he could tell her she was becoming far too possessive in the relationship. He decided to mention that he was planning to visit his parents that morning, hoping it might make her change her mind about coming along. Great, she exclaimed again. Today I feel like a new person. Christopher was stunned. The two of them were riding through the city together on the same motorcycle, and his girlfriend appeared to have completely overcome her fear of the vehicle. Frustrated at not having the morning to himself, Christopher accelerated harder, hoping to scare her a little. But instead of fear, she seemed to be genuinely enjoying the ride. At his parents' house, in a brief moment when Christopher managed to be alone, his mother approached him quietly and asked, What's wrong with her? Why has she been in such a good mood all day? That's exactly what I'd like to know. This morning she told me she felt like a new person. The strangest thing she said in a long time. Maybe it's time you talk to her. She needs to give you some space. She wants to be by your side all the time. I know, it's frustrating. Well, at least you don't work from home. That same afternoon, Christopher left the house to take a walk and buy a pack of cigarettes. When he reached the store, for a split second he considered turning around, and in that instant, he had the eerie feeling that when he did, he would find his girlfriend standing there. Sure enough, when he turned, she had followed him the entire way. Now or never, he thought. I have to tell her I need time alone, or this relationship will never work. But there she was, looking at him with a kind, almost angelic smile. She gazed at him with eyes full of love, as if she were falling in love with him for the very first time. And in that moment, all his anger and frustration simply melted away. He walked over and hugged her. That night, Christopher felt exhausted. It had been a long day filled with activity. He deliberately left his motorcycle helmet in the garage to make sure he wouldn't repeat the absurdity of sleeping with it on again. He got into bed and started watching videos on his phone. His girlfriend climbed in beside him and wrapped her arms around him. Again? Christopher complained. You've been hugging me constantly all day. Yes, I know. You feel like a new person today. He didn't even let her respond. You read my mind, she said softly. Christopher was too tired to argue. He decided he would talk to her tomorrow. For a moment he wondered whether he even would. What does it matter? The world and the universe don't revolve around me. We love each other. That's what's important. And with that thought, he closed his eyes and fell asleep, while his girlfriend continued to hold him tightly. A few hours later, perhaps close to midnight, Christopher's entire face began to swell. Lumps and bumps appeared, then started to ooze. Horrified, He began to scream and thrash on the bed in desperation. "It hurts! It hurts!" His girlfriend didn't panic. She knew exactly what was happening. She held him firmly and calmly. No tears, no screams, no visible emotion at all. Christopher's face continued to swell until the skin split open, exposing bone. Then his skull cracked in two, and the rest of his body began to collapse until only his skeleton remained. His girlfriend kept holding him, firmly, calmly, without tears, without screams, without any apparent emotion. This was what happened every night before dawn. At dawn, when he opened his eyes that gray, cold morning, Christopher couldn't understand how he had slept the entire previous night with his motorcycle helmet on his head. But Dahlia, his girlfriend, knew. She knew this day would repeat itself over and over until her heart could finally heal from the loss of her boyfriend, who had died 6 months earlier in a tragic motorcycle accident. Until then, she would make the most of every remaining second, spending at least that time with his ghost.